All right, let's go ahead and go over this. So anytime you see something that says determine all values of x such that f of x is 0, all you're doing is just finding the zeros. So what you have to do is set it up as x squared minus 81 equals 0. And then you have to remember rules. So looking at this is the difference of squares. I could square root them. I'm going to get x minus 9, x plus 9, set it equal to 0. My answer is going to be x minus 9 equals 0, x plus 9 equals 0, and then solve. So on this side I'm adding 9. I'm going to end up with x equals 9. And on this side I'm subtracting 9. I'm going to end up with x equals negative 9. So those are my two answers. X is going to equal 9, or let me write it, negative 9 and 9. All right, looking at the next one, same thing with this one. 6x squared plus 5x minus 4 equals 0. Okay, looking at this one, I'm going to go ahead and multiply. 6 times negative 4 is going to give me a negative 24, and then I need to think, what two numbers multiply to give me negative 24, and what two numbers add to give me positive 5. That's going to be a 8 and 3, but pay attention to the signs. So it's going to be a positive 8 and a negative 3. So writing out, I'm going to have x plus 8, x minus 3. But don't forget with this one, you have that 6 in front. So you're going to put everything over 6. Do not forget that step, because if you do, you're going to unfortunately get the wrong answer. So looking at it, I can simplify these. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 2 goes into 6 3 times. So right now I'm going to have x plus 4 over 3 equals 0. And then this one could simplify to 1 over 2. And then I'm going to have x minus 1 over 2 equals 0. Going ahead and solving for these, let me go ahead and grab a different color. I'm going to subtract 4 over 3 from both sides. I'm going to end up with x equals negative 4 over 3. And then I'm going to add 1/2. So on this side, I'm going to have x equals 1/2. So my answers will be x equals negative 4 over 3 and 1 over 2, 1/2. All right, going ahead and solving number 19. This one I'm doing the same thing. I'm setting it equal to 0, and in this case, I'm going to factor by grouping. So grouping them together, I'm going to go ahead and take out an x squared. So I'm going to have x minus 1. And on this one, I'm taking out a negative 9. So I'm going to have x minus 1. Okay, keep in mind you have a pair. So I'm going to take that pair out and then write whatever's left, x squared minus 9. And I'm still setting everything equal to 0. So setting everything equal to 0, I'm going to end up having x minus 1 equals 0 and x squared minus 9 equals 0. Going ahead and solving, I'm going to add 1 to both sides. I'm going to get x equals 1. And then in this case, I have to do a little bit more. So add 9 to both sides. X squared equals 9. I'm then going to go ahead and get rid of that squared by square rooting, and I'm going to end up with x equals positive negative 3. So I'm going to have 3 answers for this one. I'm going to have x equals 1, negative 3, and a positive 3. All right, looking at this next one, same thing. I'm going to go ahead and set it equal to 0. And we said whenever we have something like this, it looks like a fraction, just go ahead and cancel the bottom out. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it. X squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. And going ahead and solving. So what number multiplies to give me -2 and adds to give me 1? Adds to give me actually a -1, my mistake. So I'm going to go ahead and factor them. X. I'm going to end up with a -2 and a +1. And then I'm going to go ahead and solve. X minus 2 equals 0. X plus 1 equals 0. Add 2 to both sides. I'm going to get x equals a +2. Subtract 1 from both sides. X equals -1. So my two answers will be x equals -1 and a +2. Looking at the next one, doing the same thing, setting it equal to 0, canceling out that bottom. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it. X squared minus 3x minus 18 equals 0. And then ask myself, what two numbers multiply to give me a -18 and add to give me a +3? So factoring that out, I'm going to go ahead and get -6 and a +3. And doing the same thing. X minus 6 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. Adding 6 to both sides. X equals 6. Subtracting 3 from both sides. X equals -3. And my answers are going to be x equals -3 and 6. All right, it says determine if the function is even, odd, or neither. In this case, I told you guys to use 2 and -2. Why? Because in some cases, if you decide to use 1 and you get 0 as your answer, you can't determine if it's negative or positive. Okay, so I would always use -2 and a +2. So going ahead and solving this, I'm going to go ahead and do A first. So again, like I said, we have to do both. So I'm going to do 2 minus 3, and then -2 minus 3. So subtracting, I'm going to get -1, and this is going to be a -5. Because they're different numbers, my answer for this would be neither. All right, going ahead and doing B, same thing, plugging it in. 2 squared minus 3 times 2 minus 1. And then going ahead and doing the same thing, but with a -2. So -2, keep it in parentheses, squared minus 3 times -2 minus 1. 2 squared is going to give me a 4. -3 times 2 is going to give me a -6 minus 1. I'm going to end up with 4 minus 7. And then once you go ahead and subtract that, you're going to end up with a -3. Looking at the next one, -2 squared still gives me 4, but now I'm going to get a +6 minus 1. And then adding those two, I'm going to get 10 minus 1, and then I'm going to end up with a 9. So again, different answers, so it's neither. So we can write N for that one. All right, going ahead and doing C, same thing, 2 cubed minus 2, and then -2 cubed minus -2. So solving it, same exact way we did before. 2 cubed is going to give me 8 minus 2. I'm going to end up with 6. -2 cubed is going to give me a -8. I'm going to keep this as a +2. And I'm going to get -6. So in this case, because they're the same number, but they're different signs, they're opposite signs, this one's going to be odd. All right, and then looking at the last one, I'll just go ahead and do D right over here. I'm going to have 2 squared plus 4 and a -2 squared plus 4. 2 squared is going to be 4 plus 4. And this is still going to be 4 plus 4. I'm going to end up with 8 and 8. Since they're the same, it's even. Okay, so please make sure you guys understand this. When they're asking you to find the even, odd, or neither, you're going to use 2 and negative 2. You're going to solve it for both of them. And then if it's the same number, it's even. If they're opposites, it's odd. And if they're none of the above, it's neither. All right, so when they have a question that says determine the symmetry, you're going to do the same thing as if you did for even and odd. But now, instead of writing even, odd, or neither, you're going to either write y-axis, origin, or none. So same thing here. I'm still using 2 and negative 2. So going ahead and doing a, 2 squared minus 4, and negative 2 squared minus 4. I'm going to end up with 4 minus 4, which is going to give me 0. So maybe not the best case to use. Because I'm going to get 0 for both of them, again, I want to determine if it's even or odd. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back, and I'm going to use a different number other than 2. So I'm going to go ahead and use 3 and negative 3. So 3 and 3 is going to give me 9 minus 4. And I'm going to end up with 5. Same thing here, negative 3, oops. I'm going to go ahead and get positive 9 minus 4. And this is even, so my answer is going to be y-axis. Okay, same thing with b. I'm using 2 minus 3 times 2 minus 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and use negative 2 minus 3 times negative 2 minus 1. So 4 minus 6 minus 1. Again, 4 plus 6 minus 1. I'm going to get 4, negative 2 minus 1 is going to give me negative 3. And then 10 minus 1 is going to give me 9. All right, so again, looking at this one, this would be neither. Neither, this would be y-axis. And let's go ahead and do the last one. So C, same thing. 4 times 2 squared plus 2 times 2 minus 1. 4 times negative 2 squared plus 2 times negative 2 minus 1. So going ahead and solving this one, I'm going to get 4 times 4 plus 4 minus 1. 4 and 4 is 16 plus 4 minus 1. I'm going to get 20 minus 1, which would give me 19. Same thing here. I'm going to get 4 times 4 minus 4 minus 1. 16 minus 4 minus 1. And I'm going to get 12 minus 1, which would give me 13. Again, neither. Okay, now looking at this graph, they want us to determine domain, range, increasing, decreasing, and constant. So looking at this one, domains, we know that our domains are our values on our x-axis. So if I'm looking at it, my domain is going to start from negative infinity. Why negative infinity? Because this right here is going to continue forever in the negative direction. Okay, again, it's wherever it's touching on this line. So if this is a closed 4, negative 4 is included, and that's every value after negative 4, including 2. So in this case, it's going to be negative infinity to positive infinity because every single domain is accounted for. If I were to stop it and say, okay, stop at negative 4, but I'm picking up at negative 4 and it's continuing, every single value is accounted for. So that's why it's negative infinity to a positive infinity. All right, let's go ahead and look at our range. So looking at our range, now with my range, I'm going to go ahead and look at the y values. So looking at my y values, what's the smallest possible y value that we have? Let me get the orange. The smallest possible y value we have would be right here. So that'll be a parentheses -4. Because it's not a closed circle, I'm going to use parentheses. And then again, every single range value is accounted for all the way to infinity. So that's why it's -4 to infinity. Okay, let's go ahead and find our increasing and decreasing. So I told you guys with increasing and decreasing, the best thing to do is take your pencil or pen and follow. Okay, we read from left to right. So starting at the very left, I'm going down. This is considered increasing. Then I'm going to start here. Now I'm increasing. Again, this is a decrease. This is an increase. So my increase is going to start at -4, and I'm going to stop increasing at 0. Then I'm going to go ahead and this is still decreasing, but now I'm going to have another increase. Remember, increasing, decreasing, and constant, there are no brackets, only parentheses. So I'm going to start again at 2, and it's going to go all the way to infinity. Okay, let's go ahead and go to my decrease. So we said we started somewhere up here. And again, that's -infinity. We started somewhere up here, and it's continuing forever and ever and ever. And that's my -infinity. And then I'm going to stop decreasing at -4. Then I'm going to go ahead and decrease again. I'm decreasing again at 0, 2, okay, which is right here. And then is there a constant? No, so my answers does not exist. Please go ahead and go over your answers and make sure you guys practice.